Hello, everybody. This is the static site editor issue refinement session. And today we're going to look at this epic of reducing the GitLab, www-gitlab-com repo, specifically the size. So this is something that I picked up quite a while ago already, that the size is getting quite large, over 6 GB in size, and this is impacting things like pipeline speed and various other challenges with regards to cloning the repo and the amount of times that happens with all the changes to it. So, we have this overall objective of wanting to reduce the repo size, and we had a lot of kind of like ideas initially, and so today's session is about revisiting those, kind of like validating whether it's still relevant, and also just measuring it up to the long-term plan, which is for the handbook to be in its own repo, to be in the www-gitlab-com repo. So you might wonder, why go the mono repo route if we plan to go to a separate repo anyway? And the mono repo was always an interim kind of like state. And the primary reason for that was to help drive the decoupling of the marketing in the handbook sites, which we have achieved to a large degree. We still have coupling with shared templates and partials and assets, which we plan to work on in the next few months. But so in the context of that, when will we move to a separate repo? I can't say. I don't think it will be in the next 3 months, maybe towards the end of the year. So that's just the context that we need to keep in mind as we kind of like go through this epic and the related issues, and see kind of like what is still relevant, are there some new things that we know about that we can tackle, and yeah, so let's get into this. So I think let's quickly see what our comments on, if there's anything relevant to have a look at.
So the first thing that I think that's relevant that's not captured here is Lauren did a pass on all of the team and pet images to resize them and make them smaller. And you could find those issues, but that's in the current checkout that saved several hundred meg. So for shallow clones, I think that helps, but as we know, the overall size of the repo is still large. So for fresh local clones, as well as I think some load on the Gitlab backend, the overall size of the historical repo has some impact. It's not clear what. And also there may be some other large images that weren't under team or team pets that might still be able to be reduced, large images or files. And so those are.
Yeah, so that brings us nicely to this issue. Let's quickly have a look at it. So a one-time manual reduction in repo size by identifying and moving large assets out of the repo. So targeted reduction in size.
That one and the other last three in the epic are, in my mind, they're all related. They're sort of the same thing, like getting large blobs out of the repo. Right, the workflow for uploading assets, that's like preventing new images getting in, moving stuff to cloud storage, like they're the same thing.
So it's almost like
different categories of stuff.
Yeah, so we can group these almost in an epic in terms of externalizing media.
Blobs.
Yeah. So let's do that. Let's add a new epic. Remove.
Like stop storing assets and media in the repo.
Yeah.
Is the essence of it.
Let's remove the wing as well.
You missed a no.
Ah. And we can turn that to come on. No, it's not going to take that now. I'm going to have to reload the page. And then, you know, reduce repress size, create schedule series.
Also,
so
just realized that with the change to the changelog being merged yesterday, we should be able to reduce the maximum file size back to 2. So I'm doing that right now.
Great.
So between that was one thing to stop the bleeding, so to speak, and it will prevent other big things from getting added. There's still a small creep of up to 2 meg files getting added in images and stuff. And so stepping back from this whole topic to summarize it is, we could do the filter branch to regain some of that size, but that's a very disruptive thing. Everybody who has an extant branch anywhere would have to rebase. Even old branches, it has the potential to lose or mess up history or blame, because it rewrites the commits in the association with the file trees. And honestly, I don't know how much that would really help our current performance problems, given that we already do a shallow clone. It might not speed up the CI checkouts at all, because all of the large stuff has already fallen off the 10 commit shallow clone. So looking at this one that you have up here, we would have to do some research to see if it's even worth the trouble. My gut feel is that it's really not, especially from a handbook perspective, if we are within, the next 6 months to a year considering moving to our own repo. So that's sort of what we discussed this morning.
Yeah,
it would be a lot of work that would distract us from other work, and at least from the handbook perspective, wouldn't even matter once we go to a new repo, because we're starting clean anyway and not taking most of the images with us.
And I would almost, this is unrelated, but here's a question. If we move to a new repo, do we lose or get history for the handbook source files content?
No. At that point, I would do it as not a clean repo, but the result of doing a filter branch of throwing away everything we don't want. So we still have the history of everything that's left, but everything that we don't care about is gone.
Okay.
So like all of the handbook files and the actual source files and whatever templates and stuff we bring along, the history should be there mostly, and all of the stuff that we didn't care about and bring with us will be gone. So which should include most of the team images and all of that, which should result in a much smaller repo.
Okay. And so once you have that locally clean up, you just connect that to a new remote endpoint, essentially you get.
Sure, just push it to the repo of whatever new project we start.
Okay, well, yeah, because that would be a bit of a deal breaker if we lost the history of the handbook content. All right, so in terms of this one, I'm almost inclined to I don't want to comment about the separate repo until, so this might actually be worth covering quickly. So the next let's call it 6 to 12 months, the journey for the handbook will likely looks, or I'm going to propose that it looks something like this. Q3 will see us have clean total decoupling from the marketing side. So no shared assets or templates with marketing. It will also see us migrating to Frontman. Q4 will likely see us starting to experiment maybe with like a mirrored repo of the handbook and setting that up on GitLab pages and also then playing with CDNs and so on and getting that up. So I had a conversation with infrastructure yesterday about what can they do to help us long term have better control of these, so that because they're kind of like resource constrained in terms of the team they have to take care of GitLab.com, and while they're more than happy to help set up the CDN and all the so on, and then give us the necessary training for us to essentially maintain it ourselves going forward. So that's something that will come back. So Q4 will likely be something along the lines of starting to kind of like do a proof of concept of hosting the handbook on GitLab pages. So that will, and then probably in Q1 next year is when we can, if we can sort out the challenges and prove that everything works and is stable and so on, we can then likely move the handbook, like to a separate repo, formerly subdomain something like handbook.gitlab.com, and host it on pages fronted by CloudFront, Cloudflare, whatever the CDN's name is again, and yeah, have some more kind of like access to controlling it and so on done.
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable iterative plan. And in
Yeah,
terms
so
of this issue, what we can say without mentioning any of that, like let's just approach it to say we need to gather metrics of whether this would even help, given that we do a shallow clone. I think the answer is no, but I'm not 100% sure. And then the other, if it will help the CI performance, right? There's three things. There's like the CI build speed tax to clone the repo. There's fresh clones locally, which are a pain but infrequent. And then there's whatever load we're putting on the Gitlab backend, right? So the first one, I think it's reducing the size isn't going to help. The second one isn't that big of a deal. What we should get an answer on is in the next 6 to 12 months, or this question definitely matters for marketing if they're going to stay in the repo, what are the implications of not doing anything on the Gitlab instances, which they say can't be scaled? Are they going to fall over? If so, when? How do we know?
yeah,
So I think that's the most important question relating to this. If the answer to does it help CI is no, because we're doing shallow clone.
yeah. General discussion on this issue, given the current context, whether it seems to prominent the history for size reduction purposes. CI pipelines. Do
Shallow clone of currently 10 commits.
Last 10 minutes and such, only, don't reprogram. What we tweet about impact the other areas of the system.
I can try to find that issue about Gitly and tweet a link in there. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna throw it in the Zoom chat. The issue about the Gitly performance.
Yeah. And I also want to say, given this issue was apparent, endlessly consider pipeline there lives the other factors that warrant that warrant something like that. So Chairman had a discussion. They did not sure, given the current context, whether it makes sense to try and rewrite the repo history for file size reduction purposes. In the CI pipelines, we do a shallow clone of the last in, and as such, don't pull the whole repo down. We are not certain about what we are not certain about is what the impact the overall large repo size will have on other areas of the GitLab ecosystem. Given that, yeah.
So at the end of that sentence, I just updated the description on this. I think you could copy the part starting at given and put it at the end of that sentence for context.
Like this?
No. Like it was fine the way you had it. I'm saying
Yeah.
I just updated the description of this issue.
Ah, okay.
Starting at the word given.
Okay.
Would give the context in here about the performance impacts.
Yeah, and then comment. And therefore, we're going to put this on the backlog. Where the hell is the backlog? Jeez. And just label things as a proper backend. That's what we have for now. All right. All right, let's think. So that one is dealt with. Let's look at the other stuff here. So create a schedule.
Yeah, that's the.
So yes,
we should just do.
That's the one where we want to. Where I suggested we do it as part of the review cleanup job.
Well, introduce the review cleanup job like the main Git.
Yeah. Yes,
we've
got the review stop job currently.
Right. We never had a cleanup. We need to make one, and there's an example in the main repo.
So this one I'm actually gonna then add to our planning for 13.5.
And we also don't know if deleting the 50,000 refs from the old review like really helped the Gitly performance and we're not even close to falling over anymore or not. Like I don't know how to read those graphs.
But I also think it doesn't really matter in that this is something we should be doing. There's no reason to keep those review environments around. So whether it has a positive performance impact is like this is one of those cleanup things that we should probably just do. According to James Ramsey, it does have an impact, at least in terms of the the way the revs are resolved and all of those things, and it can have an impact on various things. So while it might not directly have a benefit that's tangible, really, from a CI pipeline point of view or whatever, there's no reason to have them hanging around, and so I think doing this is probably a good idea. I'm going to actually just do this because we're definitely going to do this maybe 35. Then, okay, now we get to, so this for me is a bigger one, and this is where I'm a little kind of like conflicted whether we should do something in the short term. And the two reasons for that is we're likely going to be introducing some sort of functionality in the static site editor at some point around, specifying your remote or external cloud storage endpoint for image uploads. And also if we are moving to a separate repo, we're not going to have, there's not that many assets in the handbook. Do we want to have an external thing? Yes, definitely. But I'm wondering how much, like, this is not a small initiative. There's a lot of effort in those three issues. And I'm wondering whether it's worth trying to tackle that in the next few months.
I don't think so. I think that as part of the static site editor feature planning process, we're going to think a lot about what is the best way to do this. Like, how should we upload it? How do we support, client-side uploads, server-side uploads? Where do we store them? What are the options? And figure out the optimal way to approach this problem. And then whatever we do for the static site editor, we just backport to whatever is currently there. But that they're already in there, and only through doing the filter branch, which we said we want to avoid, are we going to help them.
Yeah.
It may make the current clone size, the shallow clone size, smaller, but like we said, that's not that big of a deal.
No, it's not. And unless like, again, unless there's another part of the GitLab ecosystem that is suffering, that necessitates us having to do something, I don't see there being a big amount of pressure on them. I hope you can't hear the drilling behind me. But unless there's pressure from that side, the handle or the marketing side, I don't see a need for us to look at doing this anytime soon right now. It can stay in the
only
backlog.
reason would be from that anybody would care about, I think, is a CI build time perspective. And we still have other much easier low-hanging fruit that we could do there if we cared. For example, the hand job, the hand book job is no longer parallelized. We can parallelize it. We could also further parallelize the marketing.
Oh man, I'm so gonna cut out of this clip. Right.
Why did you have to start laughing?
Yes. So there's also the looking at having the assets dealt with in its own asset pipeline and stuff, which will all have benefits. Like, this for me is a high effort. It is high reward, but it's high effort as well. And in that sense, I don't think.
I think everything in this epic is except stopping the review environments.
Yeah.
The one that I finished yesterday of the review, or the changelog, I think was the only other one we wanted to get done.
Yeah. So
And that enabled us to bring the max commit size down to 2 meg again.
yes. So we did it one time cleanup of standard MRs. So this one. We one time menu reduction. Yeah, so this is definitely not for floating mode. This is not on the backlog. Honestly. Then I have move media out. These are all on the backlog. Yeah. And then introduce pipeline to prevent uploading of new users.
And we said we weren't going to do that.
No, we closed. They don't close this one.
Well,
Yes.
the two, yeah, that's closed. The 2 meg limit effectively does that.
Yeah.
At least large ones.
We've had that, yeah. And so this, I'm just going to put that there. Okay. So I'm happy then that apart from scheduling or like automatically deleting the review environments, there's no actual action to be taken on this effort at this stage.
Nobody's complaining about pipeline speed anymore, are they?
No, I'm going to add a comment here just for history purposes. Oh, crap, it's 5 o'clock. Do I have a meeting? Oh, it's a group call. That's fine. I checked the slides already, so that's already shit. So I just want to kind of like put an update here. Update. It's today. 0903. What is this one? 8928. Jesus.
Triple speeds. I would say no need to prioritize it unless operations tells us there's problems with the load on Gitly or prefect.
Let's see. Apart from not projects relations understood by question. Yeah, okay, that's fine for now. All right, I think this is good enough then for now. I don't think we need
decided not to do a lot of work. That's
that's always preferable. All right. So
Much higher
kind of,
priority things we have to do than this stuff.
yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for joining me today, Chad.
Sure.
Have a good rest of the day. Cheers.
Bye.